I have to say that watching a film about a woman who won 2 Nobel Prizes and broke barriers in the field of science really kind of makes you rethink your own life's choices.
Yeah, well, I think that's, we're not setting her up as a, to compare. I read it on a graffiti on the tube when I was quite small, and it said, "Do not compare yourself to others because you will become either vain or bitter." And I kind of took that to heart a lot. It was just, sometimes graffiti has the best wisdom, really.
That is very true. I do have to ask both of you, which one of you was sort of more likely to ace a chemistry test when you were in school? Was science your thing?
We went to school together.
Yeah, no, that's true. Did you ever discuss this? I mean, how much science did you feel like you needed to learn to adequately play these roles?
They gave us one journalist in Paris gave us a chemistry quiz together, and between us, we did all right, didn't we? We weren't too good individually, but
well, that's like them.
Right.
When our powers combine, Rosamund.
Exactly.
Rosamund, what parts of Madame Curie's story did you feel like were particularly relevant now more than a century later?
I don't really think about it like that. I just I don't really think. I just think it's a great story, and she's a remarkable person. It's like I can meet someone in their 80s and think, God, you're remarkable. You're funny. You're brilliant. You're witty. I don't think, oh, you're so relevant today. I like, if somebody's brilliant, they're just brilliant. And I suppose I just liked how unfiltered she was. I mean, the only thing it did teach me is I think how much of our lives are taken up with worry about how something will seem or how something will come across, and she just was not bogged down with any of that, and it gave her so much freedom. So I was kind of envious of that.
Sam, this was also really a story about a man who was sort of ahead of his time. I mean, this was it felt like a very modern love story in a time long before women's suffrage or any of our other essential rights were sort of recognized.
True. God, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I knew embarrassingly little about the two of them until I read the script and started researching. But yeah, I admired that in him enormously. I don't know if he's a modern man or a man of the future or something, but I just, I loved something profound happened when I read about them. For me, I just was really moved by it, and I was the whole time we were shooting it somehow. As we were doing these scenes and imagining ourselves in their place, there was just something really beautiful about it. That not only their extraordinary brilliance, but their love for one another and understanding of one another, as they were, not in what they'd like to change them into being, But
yeah,
I don't think either of them were necessarily. And Rosamund said, I don't think they were doing. It wasn't a sort of. They weren't woke, It wasn't consciously decided. It was natural. It just was. I don't think it even ever really occurred to them in that sort of, in the way that we now put it in. It wasn't amazing that he refused the Nobel Prize. I just think he thought, well, why would I accept it on my own? We've done this together. I think these are modern things that are put onto it, but that's one of the things that I love about them even more.
That we both felt that there was something very, very powerful about their dynamic, that it just, sometimes you can become aware of it when you're playing something. You can, it's an escape into another person's consciousness, and you can feel it. It's a very unusual thing.
Yeah. So Marjane, I know the London premiere was on March 8th, and then it was shortly thereafter that the pandemic changed everything for all of us. So obviously not ideal, but does it underscore the importance of a film like this, talking about science, research, impact?
Oh, I think so. I think it's very important. But at the same time, I always question myself about people that they don't trust science. Science is the response of the big monkeys that we were towards the nature that was surrounding us. Instead of being scared, instead of not knowing what is going on and behave like big monkeys, we try to discover the secret of the nature. Science is nothing more than that, discovering the secret of the nature, discovering the world that we are living in and what is our place in this world. So denying science is actually re-becoming a big monkey. So of course, it's very important, yes.
Right.
For remaining human beings.
True. What attracted you to telling this particular story of science? Was it Madame Curie herself? Was it their relationship? Why did you want to tell this story?
Well, first of all, it was her because, I grew up with the myth of this woman. I was raised up by a mother who wanted me to be an independent woman. And one of my biggest role model was Marie Curie. But then, even if you have this very interesting character, you have to have a very good screenplay. Without a very good screenplay, it would have been another film about Marie Curie, and there is already a few of them, and TV series, etc., etc. So what was very interesting, that was a story that was about the scientists, in which we not only did we talk about science, but we even talk about the aftermath of the science, where the title of the movie is Radioactive. So we talk about her love story, which is actually her love story, her discovery, her death, everything is like one and the same story. So which makes it very exciting to deal with. So yes.
I did love, in speaking of the love story, the proposal. I think the exact line was, "I'd never consider you my woman, but I would like to share my life with you."
Yeah, but this is true, because Pierre Curie, she was very modern, but Pierre Curie was extra modern. We should not forget, in the 19th century, Pierre Curie's brother, he lived with his wife, and they had 2 children, and they lived 16 years before having to get married. So, they were quite very modern, and even his parents, etc. So he was a very modern man. Imagine at the end of 19th century, you have a man who wants a woman to be his partner, his equal, his collaborator, etc. Do you know many men like that even today in the world? I don't know.
I was going to say, even in 2020, that feels like, great find, great catch.
Exactly.
I have to ask you, this may sound like a silly question, but whenever I see a film where you're dealing with real people, real science, real calculations, when I see things in the background on a chalkboard or written in a book, were those real calculations? What was your attention to detail for all of that?
Oh yes, I think it's extremely important. Science is factual, it's no subject of interpretation, or because I find it more beautiful to write it this way, then I will write it this way. It's not literature, it's facts. So no, I was extremely careful about that, because I think if I do believe in what I'm doing, but if I know that these things are accurate, the spectator feels that these things are real and they're accurate. It's a question of the emotion that you create in the spectator, and me being sure I give this assurance to the person who watches the film. So yes, they're accurate.
So scientists watching it are going to go, "Oh no, that's right. They got that right."
And that was my biggest fear. I was like, it shouldn't be that somebody watched that and say, this woman is bullshitting. That I didn't want. I wanted to say, that's right.